Hi, my name is Heather Berry. I'm the STR Division Chair. I've been in this role for the last 11 months, and one of my last responsibilities as Division Chair is to lead the STR Division Business Meeting at the annual conference. So as you know, this year's conference is a hybrid experience, which means that some of our members will be in person and some of our members will access the conference virtually only. In an attempt to try to serve all of our members and be as transparent and accountable as possible to all of our members, we decided this year to offer two versions of the business meeting. So this version, which we will have put on the AOM Pathables platform, is a pre-recorded version where all of the officers will report on the activities that they've done throughout the year. In this version, we will not tell you who's won the best dissertation or the best paper awards. Instead, we're keeping that information for our in-person business meeting. So on Monday afternoon at 4:30 in the Sheraton Metropolitan A, we will hold an in-person business meeting where I will provide some summary information that we've all shared in these slides and in this recording, but we will spend more time announcing the winners of the various awards that we have and celebrating with those winners. So if you're watching this and you're in person in Seattle, I would highly encourage you to come by for the business meeting at 4:30 on Monday. Okay, so in this recorded version, I'm going to start by giving you some information, some broad information about the division, and then you're going to hear from each of the elected officers. So let me share my screen. So I know it's customary to say, can you see my slides? But I'll assume that you can here. All right, so the Strategic Management Division is the second largest division in the Academy of Management. Last I looked, we had almost 5,800 members. And in the division, the purpose, actually I think all divisions in the Academy have business meetings every year at the conference. The purpose of these business meetings, as I kind of highlighted at the start, one thing is to provide transparency and accountability to our members. I think it's also an opportunity for us to provide an overview of the state of the division. An important part, a really fun part, I think, is also recognizing and celebrating the award winners. And finally, it allows us to thank all of the people who do so much work throughout the year. We have so many volunteers and, we're all volunteers. We're all doing this for free. And so I think it's very important to recognize all of the work that's been put in throughout the year. And so I think that's an important part of what we do at this business meeting. All right, so the STR division in the Academy has a couple of goals. We advance the creation and dissemination of strategic management research. We try to connect members to each other, to other scholars in management fields, and we champion the external standing of the strategic management field. As you know, we try to achieve these goals through both our conference and our non-conference activities. And, I look forward to seeing you in person. I hope that we've overlapped at some of the many virtual offerings that we've had throughout the year. And I hope you've enjoyed some of what we've done to try to really contribute to the intellectual growth of our members and of the field. All right, the structure, so we have a structure. At this point, we have over 100 volunteers who are helping to put together both the conference and the non-conference activities. So we have a structure where the boxes that are in red are the ones that are either elected or appointed. And we also have committees where there's a hierarchy, and each of the different elected officers are in charge of different committees, work with different committees, and work with different elected officers. So let me tell you who those officers were this year, and then I'll come back to this picture to kind of put them onto this so you can get an appreciation for what it is that we've been doing and who's been doing the work. All right, so first of all, you're elected officers. So we are elected for 5-year terms. Tim Folta this year is the past division chair. I am the division chair. Michael Leiblein is the division chair-elect. Louise Morris is the program chair, and Deepak Samay is the assistant program chair. So I'd just like to pause here for a second and really say thank you to all of the other elected officers I've really enjoyed working with you this year, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of work, hard work, but it's also been a lot of fun, really just organizing, creating, connecting, doing all the things that the Strategic Management Division does with you. So thank you very much for making this a great year for me. Our appointed officers are Paulo Aversa, who's the Communications Director, Bilgahan Uzunka, who's the Membership Engagement Committee Chair, Dave Maslach, who's the STR Secretary, and Paul Drenovich, who's the STR Treasurer. I also want to thank all of these people because they are very professional and they really allow the division to continue forward, and they've been a joy to work with as well. We have an executive committee that's comprised of 12 members. These are staggered terms. We elect 6 new members every other year. So the 6 people who will be rolling off are on the bottom half, and the new people who will continue, they're not new anymore, the people who have been doing this for a year and who will continue on for another year on the top. So there's people who will continue: Elisa, Vanessa, Donald, Maka, Tomash, and Tony. Thank you for everything you've done. And the people who have been serving for 2 years and will be rolling off at the end of the conference are Cindy, Gwen, Metin, Lourdes, Ram, and Roberto. So you will hear from more of the officers who have been working directly with these people, who will tell you what they've been doing, and we'll give them a more heartfelt thanks. But I just want to give a general thanks to all these people. All right, so I said I would come back to the structure. So this year, this is how we organized ourselves. So as I said, each of the officers, the elected officers who are on top, oversee different committees. EC members are assigned to work with different elected officers, and together they oversee the different committees. So there's different, awards committee, the global reps, the membership engagement committee, the communications team, the research committee, then fill out our structure. So I'm going to give you a high level view of who all of these people are. And as I said, the officers will call different people out to thank them for the specific work that they've been doing. All right, so the second year research committee members, these are the folks who read anonymized versions of best papers and help the division to pick out the best paper winners. So this year we thank Navid, John, Jillian, Alvaro, Eileen, Thomas, Ilse, Rosvin, Paul, David, Georg, and David. So those are the second year research committee members. Our first year research committee members who are tasked with reading anonymized dissertations to help us pick the best dissertation winner include Callan, Ilgaz, John, Johanna, Cedric, Chengwei, Katie, Cameron, Elena, Luke, Dimitri, and Natalia. So thank you to our research committee members. They do an important job in helping us pick best dissertation winners and best paper winners. This year's teaching committee, so Tony Tong was the EC member tasked with helping Michael to oversee that committee, but I want to thank Marlo, Melissa, Peter, Meshek, John, Henning, Andrea, and Cheng. This year's awards committee, I want to thank Lourdes Sosa for working with Michael, and I want to acknowledge Jay, Mary, Marvin, Joe, Anita, Jan, Brian, Govert, and Ed. I worked with the global representatives, so I'll talk a little bit more about them in a couple of slides, but right now I just want to acknowledge Roberto as the EC member who is tasked with helping me oversee that committee. Edgar, Junman, Sandro, Obi, Wei-Ting, and Ramsey, thank you very much. The Membership Engagement Committee this year, I also oversaw that, so you'll hear a little bit more about that from me, but I want to just thank David, Shelby, Eunice, Zhao, Katerina, Lisa, Aldana, Demo, and Tag for their help this year. And then finally, the STR Communications Team, along with Paulo, who oversees this committee. We've got Laura, Scott, Cecilia, Maria Rita, Luigi, Ilaria, Madeline, Beverly, Chris, Vixen, and Miros. All right, so those are all of the people who have been creating content throughout the year. And so a very huge, large shout out to all of them, but hopefully you have a little more insight into the structure of the division after this. All right, now I'm going to hand off to Tim Folta. Tim, as past division chair, ran the elections this year. And so I want to shout out and thank Dave and Vanessa for helping him. But I want to pass the mic over to Tim so he can tell you about the results of the elections and the team that will start at the end of this conference for next year. All right, so Tim, please take it away.
Thanks, Heather. My name is Tim Folta. I'm the division's past chair, and my primary responsibility is to help with future leadership by managing the nomination, the election, and the appointment process for these leaders. And I want to introduce you to the new leaders for the division in just a moment. But before I do, I want to thank you for your participation, your nominations, and your votes. Without that, we would not be successful in this process, obviously. I also want to recognize a few people, Dave Maslich and Vanessa Burbano in particular. They helped immensely with this process, so thanks to you. The first person to recognize is our incoming Assistant Program Chair, Brian Wu. Many of you know Brian. If you don't, you should get to know him, and please work with him to try to build a better division going forward. He's going to be an officer for the next 5 years, and he'll eventually be the chair in 2025. And I hope you give him all the support you've given me and Heather, and you'll give Michael this year. So congratulations to Brian. I also want to recognize the new incoming of the members of the executive committee. The executive committee is the primary governing body of the division. They also nominate and kind of vet candidates for leadership positions. They also set policy. They also lead key divisional initiatives. So a tremendous amount of work, and we want to recognize Joanna Campbell, Aline Gadagnon, Zeke Hernandez, Manuela Hohenweiss, Philip Meyer Doyle, and Richard Whittington. Congratulations and thank you for your service. Also want to recognize new members of our awards committee. Now this committee, their primary responsibility is to manage the division's career awards. And they, as you can tell, have high opportunity costs. So we're super grateful for your commitment to this process. Especially want to recognize our new members, Lawrence Caprone, Kathleen Eisenhart, Giovanni Gavetti, Dan Leventhal, Marguerite Wiersma. And our teaching committee continues to be increasingly important in the development of our members, and we look forward to learning from Craig Armstrong, Jennifer Kwan, and Philippe Monteiro. Excuse me. Our research committee has 12 new members, a total of 24, so this is a large number, and they assist with the divisional conference paper awards. And they also help determine any dissertation awards that are given. So what an outstanding group of scholars. We look forward to working with you, and thank you for your service. A membership engagement committee does just that. They engage our members, and they do so in lots of different creative ways. We look forward to some of those creative ways of engaging with Carlos, Keith, and Thomas. Thank you for volunteering, and look forward to seeing more from you. Our global reps are increasingly important in different ways, but they were initiated a number of years ago with the intention of keeping apprised of membership interests and concerns in 6 different regions of the world. This year, we elected or nominated and appointed 2 of those regions, and Therese and Najee Benson from Africa, the University of Pretoria, and Martina Pasquini will represent Europe. So look forward to learning more from you. That's all from the past division chair, and it's back to you, Heather.
Thank you very much, Tim. Now, I have the pleasure of talking about the Membership Engagement Committee chair. So the division chair oversees the Membership Engagement Committee. And this year, Bilgahan Zenka was the chair. He's actually served in this role for 4 years. And so we want to thank Bilgahan for his service. And I also have the pleasure of announcing the newly appointed MEC chair, Andy Wu. So Bilgahan was the founding MEC chair, and it turns out that Andy Wu also served on that MEC committee in Bilgahan's first year. And so we're excited to have Andy join that committee because we think he has some great experiences and learnings from Bilgahan. So please join me in thanking Bilgahan for his MEC chair service and welcoming Andy to this newly appointed role. All right, I also get to have the privilege of thanking Tim Folta for his 5 years of service. So as past division chair this year, that means he has been serving our division for 5 entire years. He's done everything from the assistant program, PDW program, to overseeing the massive and large program, to overseeing the awards committee and the teaching committee, to being division chair, overseeing all the virtual activities that were offered his year, and finally overseeing the elections. It's a lot of work. I'm well aware of all the work, but we all, I think, want to say thank you very much to Tim. So when you see him, if you're in person or if you feel like reaching out to him by email, please thank him for all of his service and all of his time with the division. So Tim now joins an illustrious group of past division chairs. It's amazing all the people who are on here, and Tim, you're now at the top. I'm not sure there's a lot of space for others. Perhaps we'll just be stuck in space with the people we have. I don't know. Otherwise, we'll have to move on to a second slide. All right. So thank you very much, Tim. All right. My next part is to talk about what happened during my year as division chair. So I want to talk about the initiatives that we started this year, some of the things that I tried to do. I feel good about my time as division chair because I feel like I've left the division in a stronger place than when I inherited it. I think with the pandemic, with the move to hybrid conferences, with just the opportunities that are presented from virtual events, I think it was a good time to try to make some changes, changes in terms of offerings, changes in terms of just how we run things. And so I tried to embrace some of that in what I did this past year. So let me talk about these initiatives. I grouped them in 3. I looked at past slides. We always seem to group them in 3. So I grouped them in 3. Whether that makes sense or not, I'll think about later. All right, but so these 3 initiatives, I would say, experimenting and broadening virtual session offerings throughout the year. Second, I think, as I said, there were just some structural administrative things that needed to be altered, needed to be improved. And so I tried to do as much of that as I could. I still am leaving some in the incoming chair division chair's lap. And initiative 3, I think one of the important parts of the Academy of Management Conference is the networking opportunities. And so I've tried to really kind of increase the networking opportunities specifically at the conference. Try to do that a little bit with the virtual. I'm not sure people respond quite as much to that. So I'll talk to that. Let me talk about each of these in turn. All right, so first initiative, experimenting and broadening virtual session offerings throughout the year. All right, so first of all, I inherited a very strong foundation for offering virtual activities. So, Samina was division chair when the pandemic happened. I think she did an amazing job of coming up with a lot of really interesting virtual offerings. We all worked together with that, and the Meet the Scholar, the Symposia, the things that we offered that summer. I think our members really appreciated that. I think we all still thank Samina when we see her for doing that. So I inherited, I think, a really strong foundation. This year, I decided that it was time to experiment with some different things. I really hope that future division chairs can use the virtual platform in ways where we experiment with things that, may or may not make sense in an in-person setting, may or may not make sense for the August conference, but just to broaden what we're doing, to think outside the box, to see how our members respond to that kind of stuff. So one of the things that we did early on was, and actually I'm gonna go back and forth here because I should probably thank these people before I say what we did, but the Stronger Together, Stronger Together Task Force is what this was named in the beginning. I think we can call it whatever we want, but it's the people who deal with the non-conference virtual activities. And so this year, Cindy, Gwen, Maka, and Tomasz worked with me on the non-conference virtual events. Early on, we met and we talked about some different ideas. We decided to try and offer a meta theory, meta method, and just different formats. So, I have to thank each of these people for just being willing to experiment with some things, from being willing to think outside the box and just try some new stuff. So Maka really helped with meta theory and ran that and was just amazing at doing that. Tomasz for meta method. Gwen continued with the Symposia, really some new formats. And Cindy, I'll thank in a minute for this continuation of the network shop. But I want to give a huge shout out for all of these people for being willing to experiment and try new things. So Maka and Tomasz also went out of their way to survey members in the fall to see what kind of topics they would be interested in. I think that was also a great thing to do to make sure that we're capturing some of the interests of our members. All right, but so these folks really kind of worked with me to just offer a lot of different virtual events. And I think our members responded very positively to this. One of the things that we tried to do was to encourage diversity of speakers across senior and junior, male and female, where you're from, what kind of research topic you focus on. Just try to get more of our members represented in some of these sessions. As of July 1st, we had almost 4,000 registrants for these different virtual activities, and we've had over 7,500 YouTube views on our STR kind of YouTube channel just for this new content we've created this year. So I think we had a lot of positive response from our members. All right, so just to give you a little more information, the meta theory, this was something where we were not trying to cover the entire foundations of a theory. And, we stated that. We realized that would be a Herculean task. But, we were trying to have an engaging conversation with leading scholars who have contributed to and advanced that focal theory. And, you can find several examples, and I'll kind of shout out some of them. For meta method, we were trying to focus on a research method that our members had interest in, where we could try and talk about what it is, how it's applied, strengths, limitations, common pitfalls. We had some really fantastic people who use these methods, who are involved with these, each of these different offerings for these series. So meta theory, right? Behavioral, real options, transaction cost, attention-based view, resources and capabilities, right? We offered these kind of throughout the last 6 or 7 months. For meta method, formal methods, insertion theory, empirics, using field experiments, diff and diff estimators, using lab experiments, right? All of these are available. I'll come back to the Symposia. All of these are available on our research tab on our STR homepage. And I would encourage you to look at them for the fields that interest you, for the fields that don't interest you, just to learn more about them. We also continue to offer our virtual symposia. And, I want to thank Gwen here for reaching out to different leadership members to figure out different offerings. It's fantastic. We had different formats. We had debates. We had, for the international global business, we had, AEs and, foundational members of a journal kind of talk about the future of that particular field, international management. Just some different types, thinking about a really important paper and bringing together neo-Carnegie scholars to have them talk about that paper, regroup and hopefully maybe even produce something going forward. But just experimenting, different kinds of things that we think our members would be interested in. So you can find all of the recordings from the last 2 years on our YouTube channel, in particular those ones that I've just highlighted. All right, at the same time, we continued to offer the PhD network shops. This was something that was started 2 years ago. This is a very popular thing by students, and I wish that I'd had this when I was a student. How fantastic to be able to meet with a number of senior faculty, have these great small group gathering discussions. also meet other people who are on the job market at the same time you are. And so this year we had 62 student participants. I'm not going to read out all the names of the faculty mentors, but I would just like to recognize that many of these people have done this several years in a row. And so thank you very much to Cindy for organizing this. I also want to give a shout out to Asim. He organized this first and he stepped in and provided a little bit of help as we were organizing this. And so I think it was a great experience. I heard from many students, some of whom I was paired with, that they really thought that they got a lot out of it. So our PhD Net workshops hopefully will continue next year. I also oversee the Membership Engagement Committee, and they're tasked with social networking and professional development activities. And some of what I oversaw this year that's already happened were the virtual offerings. So here, some of the things that they've offered are work habits of emerging scholar recipients. This is very popular. Sessions on postdocs, session on grants, virtual writing retreats, which I think have been very useful for our members, career path initiatives, and then the virtual social hours that we tried this summer throughout the month of June. You may have seen those. I think people have other things that are going on now, so we had less people actually attend them in the past, but we certainly had some dedicated people attend them. All right, so thank you for all of your work on the virtual offerings across the Stronger Together Task Force and the MEC Committee. The second initiative was the structural and administrative improvements. All right, so here, I think really trying to just strengthen the infrastructure of the division to be offering both conference and non-conference activities. So first of all, we decided to try and update the STR bylaws this year. The Membership Engagement Committee and the Communications Committee have been running for the last couple of years, at least 4, without actually being in our bylaws. And so thank you to members for overwhelmingly supporting the changes to the bylaws and approving the addition of the MEC and the Communications Committee. I believe the vote was over 98%. And so we kind of can continue on with that work, feeling good about the fact that they're now reflected in our structure. I also tried to really kind of hit the ground running, if you will. And so instead of waiting until the fall to assign, or after the conference to assign EC roles, I started doing that in July so that there could be overlap across the people who were responsible for an activity and the people who are incoming as responsible for an activity. Right along with this is creating STR Dropbox space for every STR committee so that can be a centralized repository for sharing information. Putting new people in there as soon as they know their role in July, having some overlap at the conference before people roll off in August, I think is just a great way to help people really get more comfortable with their role much earlier. And so hopefully that'll continue with this Dropbox helping that effort. All right, you also may have seen our STR Daily Digest, which, the majority of our members get that every day in their email. We have a lot of members who post on that, and that's fantastic. We're happy to provide that for our members. But sometimes it meant that the officer messages got drowned out and it was difficult to find them. So one of the things that we did was to carve out a space at the top of that. So officer messages can now appear at the very top of the message. When we have several officer messages that are going out, for example, when we have our newsletter postings by the officers, we also just take over the STR Daily Digest so that our messages don't get lost with 20 messages that sometimes are on there. So trying to highlight the officer messages in a different way. And then finally, attempting to alter the budget cycle, with elected officers actually approving a draft budget in the fall. That has some difficulties. I'll talk about the finances in a couple of slides, but I think trying to think proactively about the budget is something I hope will be continued going forward. All right, third initiative. So increasing networking opportunities. As I said, I think one of the main things that happens in the in-person conference is providing people with a lot of networking opportunities. And I think that's one of the main reasons that people attend the Academy Management Conference. So, we've continued to offer the very popular regional paper development workshops. This year was Brazil and Mexico. This year, for the first time, we co-sponsored a smaller non-AOM in-person conference through the Midwest Strategy Meeting. Again, hoping to encourage strategic management, but also provide networking opportunities. As I mentioned, we added these virtual member-defined social hours for the month of June. And then specific to the conference, we've tried to add more social interaction opportunities, especially just because we haven't seen each other in so long. And so I'll have a visual with this, but adding a happy hour on the Friday when many people are first arriving, adding a pre-career award session to encourage people to come and interact with the award winners before the session, adding a pre-plenary coffee and light breakfast. We continue to offer our STR social on Monday after the STR business meeting. All right, but so then the global reps that I really want to thank, the first years who offered the Brazilian and the Mexican regional paper development workshops were Sandro and Edgar. Their first year on this committee, and the first years are the ones who organized that, but they had a lot of help from the other 4 members of this committee who are in various stages, second and third years. But so I want to shout out to all of these global reps. It's been very nice working with you. Thank you very much for organizing all of the activities that you organize for our members. All right, so, so the Brazilian was in November. I actually showed up at the beginning of this, and I was really just pleased to see how many participants were there. So as I said, I think there's networking opportunities. I also saw an awful lot of content, and there were a lot of just, the paper development part of it, sort of a lot of developmental aspects for junior faculty, I think are just fantastic about these regional workshops. So the Brazilian one was in November, and the Mexican one was in January. And so, shout out to the people who helped Sandro and helped Edgar in terms of really pulling these off, and also the panelists who came from very different areas and offered both in local language and in English. So I think that was absolutely fantastic. And here's just a list of the social hours that we offered in June. All right, so here's what I was saying for the conference. We really hope that you'll join us if you can at these social events. So our Welcome Back STR Happy Hour will be at Optimism Brewery. We are offering a social for people who have been involved with the consortia that were not in person. And so we're hoping that we can have an in-person gathering of people who are involved with STR-sponsored 2021 and 2022 consortia. As I mentioned, the pre-award social coffee light breakfast, the pre-plenary social light coffee light breakfast, and then as we normally have our social. And there's the locations for all those in case you're in person and able to attend these. All right. Our STR Communications Team is the other committee that I oversee. And, I just want to really thank all of these people. So Paulo, you have an amazing team. Just the way we're able to communicate and get information out to our members is thanks because of these people. So we have an amazing presence on social media. We are able to communicate with our members very quickly. We have a public calendar where all of our events are placed, through Twitter, through LinkedIn, through all sorts of different, Instagram. We reach a lot of different people. And so I think the level of professionalism of all these people has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed working with you. Thank you very much for making the virtual offerings as successful as they were. Really, those kind of 4,000 registrants, those 7,500 views on YouTube is very much because of the work that these people are doing. So the content is fantastic, but without the communication, we would reach a much smaller group of people. All right, I also want to just kind of shout out to Cecilia and Madeline. They are going to be rolling off the committee this year, so thank you for your several years of service. We really appreciate your work. STR division, Paulo gave me some numbers right before this. It's just amazing in terms of the number of views, the number of unique visitors, the number of just videos, posts, tweets, podcasts, everything else, right? It's impressive, just the reach that we have through social media and through all of these different channels. So again, thank you very much for following your team. All right, one of my last slides here then is the financial state of the division. All right. So most of what we spend, so we get fees, we get a part of your fees that you that you pay to AOM. Whichever divisions you pick, those divisions get part of your fees. And so over the last 2 years, we haven't actually spent anything because the bulk of our expenditures go toward catering and AV equipment, and some on our Zoom accounts, on some of the social media accounts that we have, and the Google Drives that we have. So because the last 2 conferences were entirely virtual, we didn't actually spend anything. We currently have a pretty high balance. And generally, in the past, we try not to overspend. We try not to spend more than we get from membership fees on catering and AV equipment. So this year, we approved a draft budget. In the end, we have several consortia that are being offered virtually, in part because for doctoral and dissertation, we wanted to make sure that all students could actually attend. So because of this, we also have lower expenses this year than in prior years, and we have lower expenses than our allocation. All right, so we're pretty healthy in terms of, one could say, maybe perhaps we have too high of a balance. At the same time, AOM is in the process of changing the way they distribute and allocate membership fees to the divisions. So we know already that we will not get any portion of the membership fees for the 2023 meeting, and we really have an unknown future revenue base starting in 2024. So this is something that the incoming division chair, Michael Liveline, this will fall on his lap, and he'll be the person who has to kind of shepherd the division through this. But right now I can report that we're very healthy in terms of our finances. So the financial state of the division is strong. All right, with that, I am now passing the mic off to our program chair, Louise Morse, and she's going to give you some highlights about the program and some general information about the activities that we've done this year. So please take it away, Louise.
Thank you very much, Heather. My name is Louise Morse. I am this year's STR program chair, and I'm very excited to talk to you about this year's program. As you all know, we are again this year dealing with an entirely new format. AOM has decided that the conference is what they call a hybrid experience. That said, of course, 80% of our program is actually back in person. So I'm very excited that many of us are able to meet in Seattle, but of course we also know that many people are still not able to join us in person and are constrained because of the pandemic or visa issues or other issues that are going on in the world. So in addition to the 80% that we have in person, we have 20% of the program running virtually. And then of course we have this entirely new experience where 30% or just below 30% of the in-person program is hybrid. And I know there have been frustrations with people who have not been able to get their desired format, but that has been a constraint that we've had because of the limitation on the number of rooms that we're able to offer the hybrid experience. But I still hope that you will find that we have an exciting program planned for you that represents, of course, all the great teaching and research and events that are going on within STR. And so we also faced challenges in designing the program this year because of the new format. We've had last-minute changes to how things were organized. We've had to schedule cleaning breaks between sessions. So there are many things that have been new that we haven't dealt with or Academy has dealt with before because of this new format. All right, let me share my slides and talk about a bit more about the planning of the program. Because of course this year, as with any other year, I have not been able to do this on my own, and I've had some help. So first of all, I am very grateful to the program team this year. I worked with 3 outstanding EC members from STR, Eliza Alvarez Garrido from the University of South Carolina, Donald Crilly from the London Business School, and Metin Singhal from Boston College. And I am extremely grateful to the program team, and thank you very much to all 3 of them for their great efforts. They've really put in hard work to help make decisions on submissions, looking through reviewer comments, helping me put together sessions, and so on. Without them, I don't think I would have made it through the year. So thank you very much to the 3 of them. Next, I want to thank the program track chairs that we worked with this year. As you know, within STR, we have 8 tracks that we help us organize the program into different topics, because of course STR contains a broad range of research. And so we're also really grateful to these people who also work with the program team. First, Sukun Kang from the London Business School worked with Donald Crilly on the behavioral strategy track. For the resources, capabilities, and strategic factor markets and the non-market strategy tracks, Stefan Dimitriadis from the University of Toronto worked with Metin Sengul. For the organization structure, networks, and relational strategies track, Ankur Chavda worked with me. For the corporate and international strategy track, Nina Teng from the London Business School also worked with Donald Crilly. For the knowledge, learning, and innovation strategy track and the industry competition and strategic entrepreneurship track, Eliza Alvarez Garrido put together the sessions for those 2 tracks. And then finally, I worked with Ilaria Orlandi on the strategic leadership, TMT, and corporate governance track. So thank you very much to the track chairs for putting together a large group of interesting and exciting sessions for the program. I also want to thank our trusted reviewers for this year. Every year we have submissions that have not received enough reviews for us to make a decision. Or we have conflicting reviews. So in order for us to make good decisions on all submissions, we reach out to our trusted reviewers for some help. And so I'm really grateful to this group of people who work with the entire program team to provide outstanding reviews at very short turnaround time on several submissions. So thank you very much, trusted reviewers, for your hard work and your great contribution to the STR program. Let me talk a little bit about the main program statistics for this year. This year we had 791 submissions. 699 of those submissions were papers, and then we had 92 symposia submissions. The submissions were up 77% from last year, so they're still not back to pre-pandemic levels, but up from the prior year. So I take it that people are excited that at least part of the conference is now back in person. This year we had a paper acceptance at 64%, so we accepted 448 papers. AOM had a slightly larger cap than in prior years, and this is because when part of the program runs virtually, we're able to accept more papers. Now, although we accepted more papers, the program has become quite cramped because it was decided that the virtual sessions would run on the same days as the in-person sessions. And of course, that means that we have a very busy program this year compared to prior years, where perhaps if we spread out the virtual sessions more, but they are unfortunately on the same days as the in-person sessions. For the symposia, we accepted 74%, so those are 68 symposia, so it was a competitive process also for the symposia. We have 7 showcase symposia, and I hope you will look those up on the program and attend some of those sessions. AOM here set the cap at 75%. The 74% includes our co-sponsored symposia, and 36 symposia of the accepted symposia, our symposia where STR is the main sponsor. And again, I hope that you will look up the STR symposia and attend some of those exciting symposia. We really have a broad range of topics within our different tracks and some outstanding panelists and organizers on these symposia. The submitters, 63% were outside the US. This is down just slightly by 1%. We had submitters from 43 countries, and that's up by 5% from last year at 41 countries. So as you can see on the graphs below, we've got the papers and the symposia submissions have gone up quite a lot from last year, and the The paper submissions are down slightly, but overall we have an increase in the number of submissions from last year. Let me talk also a little bit about the reviewer statistics for 2022. This year we had a 15% increase in the number of reviewers with 1,239 reviewers. That is really a wonderful engagement from the STR membership, and we are very grateful to everyone who signs up to review. Thank you very much for signing up to review for STR. Without you, we couldn't make decisions on all the submissions. Having so many reviewers also mean that we were able to provide 3 reviews on 77% of our submissions, which is a very high rate. And so on average, we did have 3 reviewers to each submission, but of course not all the reviews were returned. Reviews from the US account for 38% of reviewers. This share has been declining since 2016. We have reviewers from 55 countries. And of course, as is also represented in our membership, a large part of our membership is outside the US. And it's great to see the membership is so engaged and people sign up to review and engage with the program. We have a stable number of assigned reviews completed. So this year it was around 90%, which was similar to last year. If we go back to pre-pandemic levels or past years, it was at 75%. So a 90% completion rate is really great. And again, I'm really grateful to all the reviewers. I hope that some of our reviewers will come to the business meeting so there we will reveal the outstanding reviewers. Every year we award a certificate to our outstanding reviewers, and we will do that to 50 of our outstanding reviewers at the in-person business meeting. And we will also upload the outstanding reviewers to this presentation later on in the conference. So that is all I have to report from the program team. I will now hand over to our Assistant Program Chair, Deepak Sumaya, and he will talk about the PDW program.
Thank you, Louise. I'm Deepak Sumaya. I'm the Assistant Program Chair for the Strategy Division. And before I turn to my report, I'd like to first thank Louise for putting together a fantastic program under very difficult conditions this year. Not only were there nearly 800 submissions to the Strategy Division, but on top of that, there were all these many different formats of sessions that she had to deal with and incredible uncertainty. So I saw firsthand all the complexity that she was dealing with in putting together the program. So a really well done job. Louise, thanks very much. And now I'll turn to my report. My report primarily focuses on the various professional development workshops that we have put together this year. Many of them come from submissions from all of you. So we had about 36 submissions this year, which is just about a little more than what we had last year, about on par with pre-pandemic years now. 31 of these submissions were accepted, and we have a really exciting program in the professional development series consisting of a mix of different types of sessions, theoretical sessions, phenomenon-based sessions, research method sessions, teaching-oriented sessions. And I really encourage you to check out the professional development workshops. They are really a fantastic group of workshops on many different topics of interest to our members. So look forward to seeing you there. In addition to the submissions for the professional development workshops, the division also sponsors several consortia. And of course, these consortia would not be possible without the incredible volunteer work of a number of our members who act as co-chairs to put these consortia together. For the PhD students, we have the Dissertation Consortium and the Doctoral Consortium, and I want to thank Vanessa, Victor, Metin, and Claudine for putting those together. In addition, we also have a Junior Faculty Consortium, and thank you to Maka and Sergio for putting that together. A Mid-Career Consortium, and thanks to Shrikant and Ha for putting that together, and a Junior Faculty Teaching Consortium, and thanks to John and Melissa for putting that together as well. In addition to the consortia, which are in some sense sponsored by the division, we also support a number of other PDWs that feature almost on an annual basis now. And again, this would not be possible without the work of many volunteers who act as chairs or organizers for these workshops. The first that I'd like to mention is the Junior Faculty Paper Development PDW, and thanks to Srividya, Bruno, Aline, and Dongil for putting that together. Thank you very much. We also have a walk-in strategy teaching clinic that Peter Merman and Marlo have put together, and thanks to Peter and Marlo. And last but not least, managing your dissertation workshop, which is put together by the winner of the Best Dissertation Award from last year, Ariana, along with the finalists for the Best Dissertation. So she's working with the finalists who were in the final selection for the Best Dissertation last year. So thanks to you all for doing this. This is really a valuable contribution for all our members. I also want to mention another workshop that's put together by our global reps, and this particular workshop is called the Fostering Publications from Around the World in Leading Strategy Journals workshop. And this year, June Maan and Wei Ting took the lead, but Obi and Ramsey were also involved. So thank you all for putting this workshop together. It really helps to foster global participation in strategy research and making sure that it makes its way to our top journals. And last but not least, there's one person from our executive committee who was really instrumental in helping me put together the PDW program in making other organizational decisions and logistics happen for this conference, and that's Ram Ranganathan, and I really want to thank Ram for his incredible help as well. Thank you, Ram. And now I'm going to transition over to Michael. So Michael Leiblein will take things forward from here.
Thank you, Deepak. My name is Michael Leiblein, and I am this year's STR Division Chair-elect. The Division Chair-elect works most closely with the teaching and the awards committees. I'd like to very quickly offer a tip of my hat to the members of these committees, thanking them for their work prior to sharing with you some information regarding our non-conference award winners this year. The individuals on this slide comprised our teaching committee. Thanks to John Maudsley and Melissa Schilling for organizing our teaching consortia. Thanks to Peter Merman and Marlo Ravindran for organizing our teaching PDWs. Thanks in particular to Peter for staying on an extra year. Thanks to Andrea and Cheng Gao for organizing several teaching events, including sessions on delivery of the core course and how to incorporate research into one's teaching. And thanks to Henning and Mashek for working on updating our website this year. Tony Tong was our EC liaison, and Tony was instrumental in helping organize all these events and making sure they were on the STR calendar. I'd like to also express my gratitude to our awards committee. The STR division recognizes individuals with several important awards that are not tied to conference submissions each year. We leverage this committee to accomplish this task and are extremely grateful for the many hours they have spent nominating, reviewing, and selecting candidates for these awards. Lourdes Sosa was our EC liaison here, helping coordinate my communications with Jay, Mary, Marvin, Joe, Anita, Jan, Brian, Govert, and Ed. I thank you deeply for all of your effort this year helping with these difficult decisions. So let me get on to our awards for 2022. And what I'll do is start with our Outstanding Reviewer Recognition Program. Every year, the STR division recognizes members that stood out as excellent reviewers along several criteria. This slide presents a list of this year's outstanding reviewers. We could certainly not process the many proposal submissions we receive each year without dedicated reviewers such as these. These folks help us select proposals for inclusion in the program and provide useful feedback to our members on their research. While many excellent reviewers are not listed here, we appreciate the service offered by everyone, and without your contributions, we would not have as nearly a compelling a program as we're able to put together. So thank you, and a special thanks to these outstanding reviewers. One of our newer awards is the STR Distinguished Scholarship Award. This award is offered biannually and recognizes an individual or individuals that have developed a set of ideas that fundamentally advanced research and understanding in the field of strategic management. In bestowing this award, the STR leadership team highlights a belief that our field has evolved to the point where we can recognize substantial contributions that have altered the direction of research within our field. Accordingly, we aim to celebrate these contributions and what they mean to our distinctive identity. In terms of process, we accepted nominations from the division members until January 31st of this year. At that time, we collated nominations from this and previous years, asked those award committee members to review and evaluate those nominated for the award, and ultimately asked those individuals to select an award winner or winners. And I am pleased this year to acknowledge that the winners of the 2022 STR Distinguished Scholarship Award are Kathy Eisenhart and Dan Leventhal. Professor Eisenhart is the Stanford Ascherman Professor and a faculty member in the Stanford Technology Ventures Program. She has been honored with many awards, including the Career Scholarly Contribution Award from the Academy of Management, the ASQ Scholarly Contribution Award for the Most Influential Paper, and the Strategic Management Society's Schendel Best Paper Prize. Professor Eisenhart has also been elected a Fellow of the Academy of Management, a Fellow of the Strategic Management Society, and a Fellow of the World Economic Forum. Kathy has several honorary degrees, including degrees from London Business School, Aalto University, and Chalmers University of Technology. Professor Daniel Leventhal is the Reginald Jones Professor of Corporate Strategy at the Wharton School, University of Pennsylvania. Professor Leventhal is a past winner of the Strategic Management Society's Best Paper Prize, the Schendel Prize, has received the Distinguished Scholarship Award from the Organization and Management Theory Division of the Academy, as well as the Outstanding Educator Award from the Business Policy Division of the Academy. Professor Leventhal is a Fellow of the Strategic Management Society, a Fellow of the Academy of Management, and a Fellow of the Academy of International Business. Dan has received honorary doctorates from the London Business School, University of Southern Denmark, Tilburg University, and the University of Warwick. In highlighting Professor Eisenhart's contributions, the awards committee and the nominating individuals focused on her work advancing the use of simple rules to guide complex business model design and competitive interactions in new markets and ecosystems. A few of the quotations from the process are captured during this slide. I'll just read the first. Kathy has contributed to the strategy field by helping scholars reimagine the boundaries of extant theory, how to better use qualitative and mixed methods to illuminate strategic phenomena, and by pushing the strategic management field to consider not just publicly traded US firms, but also smaller firms across a variety of emerging technologies and industries. I'm sure many can agree with this statement, as well as its importance in changing the direction of research in our field. The STR division congratulates Professor Kathleen Eisenhart on being selected to receive a 2022 STR Distinguished Scholarship Award. We will be celebrating her many contributions to the field at the STR Career Awards session in Seattle and via a video tribute involving several of her colleagues. In highlighting Professor Leventhal's contributions, the nominating individuals and the STR Awards Committee focused specifically to his work on the concept of absorptive capacity and more generally to his efforts to generate insights from foundational concepts involving behavioral and organizational learning. A few comments captured during our process are copied on this slide. The one I prefer is this top comment stating Dan is without a doubt one of the foremost scholars in the field of strategic management. His work on absorptive capacity was path-breaking. He has spearheaded strategic management research in the evolutionary vein and research from the perspective of behavioral theory of the firm. Without a doubt, a worthy nominee for this award and recipient of this award. So the STR division congratulates Professor Leventhal on being selected to receive a 2022 STR Distinguished Scholarship Award. We'll also be celebrating Dan's contributions to the field at the STR Career Awards session in Seattle and via a video tribute involving several of his colleagues that is not to be missed. The Irwin Outstanding Educator Award is also offered this year. The Irwin Award recognizes a scholar who's demonstrated a long-term commitment to and an expertise in educating strategy students. The award alternates each year between a focus on doctoral education and MBA or executive MBA education. This year, we are evaluating nominees with respect to their contributions to MBA and Executive MBA Education and Strategic Management. In terms of process, we accepted nominations from division members until January 31st. In addition, we considered nominations from prior years. The STR Awards Committee then reviewed all of these nominations, additional data on a set of finalists, and finally selected a winner. And it's my privilege to announce that the winner of the STR Irwin Award for Outstanding Teaching this year is Professor Margarethe Wiersma. Professor Wiersma holds the Dean's Professorship in Strategic Management at the Mirage School of Business, University of California, Irvine. She has an MBA and a PhD from the Ross School of Business at the University of Michigan. The recipient of numerous awards for excellence in research and teaching, Professor Wiersma is awarded an honorary doctorate by Copenhagen Business School, was elected as a Strategic Management Society Fellow in 2012, and is an International Fellow for the Advanced Institute of Management Research in the UK. Margarethe has received numerous other teaching awards for the Executive MBA and Healthcare Executive MBA program at UCI, and has served on the faculty of business schools at the University of Michigan, Rice University, and as a visiting scholar at London Business School and Copenhagen Business School. In conveying the award, the STR Division Awards Committee recognized several indicators of the rigor and success of Margarethe's classes, as well as the careful statements of support offered by administrators and students at her home institution. I had the opportunity to talk with several of her students and noted the deep personal admiration that they shared for both Margarethe and her course. A sample of the testimonials offered on her behalf signaled the impact that Professor Wiersma has had on her students, colleagues in the field. And a member of the STR committee highlighted her contributions by stating, Professor Wiersma's research is has high practical relevance that she deftly translates in impactful and meaningful ways for her students. The STR division congratulates Professor Margarethe Wiersma on being selected as the 2022 Irwin Outstanding Educator Award winner. We will be celebrating her many contributions to the dissemination of strategic management content at the awards session in Seattle and via a video tribute involving several of her students and colleagues. Congratulations to all of our career award winners.
Thank you, Michael. It is now my distinct honor to share with you the Conference Paper Awards. These are awards granted to papers that were submitted to the conference program this year. And before I even turn my attention to the awards themselves, I want to thank the members of the research committee. Without their help, it would not have been possible to make these decisions. So they did incredibly good work reading through the papers, sifting through them, figuring out a rank ordering, and finally helping make the award decisions themselves. So I want to thank Naveed, Jillian, John, Alvaro, Aline, Thomas, Razvan, Ilza, Paul, David Tan, Georg, and David Shu. Thanks very much. Your help was really, really indispensable for this. And now turn first to the various track awards. So these are best paper awards awarded to papers that are within each of the tracks. We have 8 tracks, and also each of those 8 tracks within the strategy division program. And I'll start with the behavioral strategy track, where the best paper award goes to Timo and Jens for their paper, Getting Others to Agree on a View of the Future, What If Thinking and the Weakest Premise Principle. The next track is the Corporate and International Strategy track, and the best paper award there goes to Hyuk, Maggie Yu, and Christine. This is for their paper, When Uber Eats Its Own Business, and that of its competitors too. The best paper award for the Industry, Competition, and Strategic Entrepreneurship track goes to Christopher and Francesco for their paper, Are Sharks More Dangerous at Dusk or Dawn? Timing of CVC and Ventures Commercial Performance. The best paper award for the Knowledge, Learning, and Innovation Strategy track goes to Nathan and Mikhail for their paper, What Allows a Star to Shine? And then turning to the non-market strategy track, the best paper award here goes to Haram So for her paper, Competitive Dynamics of Corporate Activism, Asymmetric Responses from Ideological Ally and Opponent. And in the Organization Structure, Networks, and Relational Strategies track, the best paper award goes to Fernando, Sandro, Sergio and Ricardo for their paper, Beyond the Agreement, Dilemmas in Contracting for the Transfer of Management Practices. In the Resources, Capabilities, and Strategic Factor Markets track, the Best Paper Award goes to Ulya for her paper, Information and the Gender Gap in the Market for Top Managers, Evidence from a Quasi-Experiment. And last but not least, in the Strategic Leadership, TMT, and Corporate Governance track, the Best Paper Award goes to Sungwan, Sehi, and Chris for their paper, Bottom-Up Effects of Female Executives, Firm Performance Effects Through Middle and Lower Management. Our hearty congratulations to all the winners of the track paper awards. We now turn our attention to the division-wide awards from the entire program. And the first award there that I'm going to focus on is the Bill Gluck Best Paper Award. So this Best Paper Award is provided for the submission judged to be the best paper submitted to the refereed scholarly program, and it's supported by the friends and former students of Bill Gluck, the 35th president of the Academy of Management. And this year, the Bill Gluck Best Paper Award goes to Andrew, Temitope, and Melissa for their paper, Rising Complexity and the Gentrification of Sustained Superior Performance. Congratulations. I now turn my attention to the Sumantra Ghoshal Research and Practice Award, which is awarded to the submission to the scholarly program that is judged to be the best paper that advances research while deriving important implications for practice. The award honors the contributions to both research and practice made by the late Sumantra Ghoshal. And the Sumantra Ghoshal Research and Practice Award this year goes to Daniel, Dirk, Anup, and Nikolai for their paper, The Power of Open-Minded Simplicity in Mental Models. Congratulations. And now I turn my attention to the Robert J. Litschert Award for the best paper by a doctoral student, which was instituted in memory of Professor Litschert by his students and colleagues at Virginia Tech. Professor Litschert was one of the early Academy members and was active in teaching and research in strategy and organization theory. He was very much loved by his legion of students, many of whom have made significant contributions to the field. It is particularly appropriate that the award is given to a promising doctoral student, since Professor Litschert considered the mentoring of students his most important responsibility. And the Litschert Award this year goes to Nare Lee for her paper, Where We Are From Matters, Assessing the Impact of Immigrants on Facility Environmental Performance. And this concludes the awards from the various submissions to the Academy this year for the Strategy Division. I will now hand it over to Michael for the Dissertation Awards.
Thank you, Deepak. Every year, the STR Division recognizes a small subset of recent graduates who've written exceptional dissertations. And it is certainly appropriate that we do so, given that the work produced by these scholars represents some of the most promising future research in the STR Division and in the field of strategic management. In terms of process, we had over 24 dissertation summaries submitted to the division by January 31st for consideration in this year's Wiley Blackwell Outstanding Dissertation Award competition. As many of you know, these are detailed 10-page summaries identifying the research question, findings, and contribution of the dissertation to the field. We remove all author identifying information, including author names, institutional affiliation, and dissertation title before sending each of these summaries to our research committee members for review. This year, we sent each summary to 5 of the research committee members on this slide. These research committee members were selected to avoid conflicts of interest with the dissertation authors. The 12 research committee members on this slide then ranked each of these dissertation summaries based on their impressions of the dissertation's contribution to the overall field of strategic management. Based on these rankings, we identified a set of 5 finalists. We asked these 5 finalists to submit their full dissertations, again, removing all author identifying information, and each full dissertation was evaluated by several research committee members. I hope you all recognize this is a time-consuming process, and kudos are due to our research committee members for their assistance. Thank you. This year, we selected 5 finalists for the 2022 Wiley Blackwell Dissertation Award. At this point, I'd like to identify these 5 finalists. The first is Agnes Gunther. Agnes is a postdoctoral fellow at the University of Utah who worked on her dissertation at Copenhagen Business School with Hans Christian Konsted and Wolfgang Slufka. Our second finalist, Aldana Kapetsgate, is an assistant professor at Bocconi who received her PhD from London Business School while working with Sendel Etheridge. Congratulations, Aldana and Agnes. Our third finalist was Daniel Sands. Daniel is an assistant professor at University College London who received his PhD from NYU while working with Gino Catani. Our fourth finalist is Christopher Sable. Christopher is an assistant professor at the University of Munster who worked with Pengfei Wang at BI Norwegian School of Business. And our fifth finalist is Anpu Mahalangam, a postdoc at the University of Utah, who I understand is en route to Syracuse University. Anpu received his PhD from Purdue University while working with Rich McAdock and Tony Tong. Congratulations, Daniel, Christopher, and Anpu. And congratulations to all these finalists and their advisors. I hope that you, your families, your institutions are proud of your accomplishments. I'd like to share a couple of statements from the research committee members who reviewed the winning dissertation. While all the dissertations really did stand out from the broader pool, and it was a very difficult contest, each was excellent in its own right, the research committee ultimately judged one dissertation as advancing the field more significantly than the others. Please allow me to share some slightly disguised comments that indicate the excellence of this particular dissertation. I found the reference to Sherlock Holmes particularly insightful. And now, without further ado, let me recognize the winner of this year's Wiley Blackwell Outstanding Dissertation Award contest, and that is Anparasan Mahalingam. Please congratulate Anpu on his award-winning dissertation, Corporate Strategies of Digital Organizations. And please take a moment to interact with all of our finalists, ask about their research, read some of the comments from our research committee members who evaluated all of this intriguing work. Congratulations.
Okay, back to me. Thank you so much for listening to this. It's really been a pleasure serving as division chair this year. I look forward to seeing you at a conference. If not this one, then certainly in the future. Take care.